Has your phone ever suggested a strong password for you to use? Well, we are going to create our own strong password generator today. Here's a preview of what we'll be making. As you can see, when I call our generator, I say how long I want it to be. So 16 characters, and we've got here 16 characters. As well as being a great tool and a fun everyday project that you can use for your own passwords, it will also add to your ability to create dynamic, flexible programs that take user input and validate it. The topics covered in this project are widely used, and these skills will help you in the future projects. So what will we cover? Creating functions, using parameters, arrays and array methods, randomness and math, loops, sorting and shuffling arrays, error handling, conditional logic and validation, string manipulation, modular code and code reusability, built-in JavaScript methods and concepts. This may sound like a lot, but we will break everything down. It's a lot of things that come together in a simple way. I find learning by doing is the best way. You get to see what it is you're learning and what's the relevance. You can straight away place it to a scenario, and that's exactly what we'll be doing. Alrighty, let's start coding. When I showed you the code earlier, I entered a length parameter in to call the function. So the first thing we need to do to create our password is to make our function. So we'll write function and then generate password, because that's what we'll be doing. We'll have length as a parameter, as we'll set the length we want the password to be. So a function is a block of code that performs a specific task and can be reused whenever needed. Our specific task is to generate a password, and we will reuse the block of code every time we need one. This saves us writing out the code again every time we need a new password. Our parameter will define the length every single time we call the password, as it may change. As you may know, a strong password is typically created using lowercase and uppercase letters and a mix of numbers and symbols. If we were using words for this, I would store them in an array, but as we are going to be accessing individual letters, it's more convenient to just store them in a string. Our first variable will be a constant, so will not change. So we'll use const keyword to define our variable. As we are doing lowercase, this will be the name. It's important for our names to be as direct and simple as possible, so anyone looking at your code, or even future you, can understand what it is and what it is for. So let's type out our letters. Next, we will do the same for uppercase. Make sure to do all capitals. And we will do numbers 0 to 9 next. And for symbols, these are the ones I am using. We will access all of these separately and all together later. So let's add them all to an array for use later on. So we'll use const, and then we'll do all chars for all characters. What we need to do here is just write our variable names. So if I log this to the console, you will see all of our individual strings all together in the same array but separated by commas. For our next step, let's create a comment so we know what it is we are doing. You can use /trice for a single comment, a single line comment. Counts for each type. As you can guess, we will set a min count for each variable. As the password length changes each time, in order to get a fair amount of each character type, we will set a minimum. So similar to earlier, we will use const and then minimum, then the character set. You can pick your numbers. I'm going to use 3 for symbols, 2 for uppercase, 2 for numbers, and 4 for lowercase. To get our min total number, let's add all the variables together. Unlike the characters, we do not need an array as we want a total of all of the min values. So simply add them together. We will use this a little bit later on. Now if we log this to the console, we should see the total amount. Next, we will use this to make sure our password is always at a certain length. Next, we're going to make a if statement. The password length is defined by the user input, so we will compare this to the min total in our if statement. If length less than min total, we want it to throw an error and stop the function from executing. JavaScript has a built-in statement for this, throw. First off, a statement is a command that performs an action. just like our if statement. Throw is for errors. It will stop code executing when a certain condition is met. In this case, when our min length isn't met, our code will stop. After throw, we want to use new and error. New will create a new instance of the error object in JavaScript. The error object is assigned for, you guessed it, errors. The great thing about this object, you can add a message similar to console log to explain why the error occurred. For our message, we'll use a template literal. A template literal will use any data type expression and display it as a string. This is our way of using it inside of a string. To reference it, we quote our message in backticks. This is a flexible and useful tool. You will use this a lot in your code. So if an error occurs, our message will be displayed in the console and a stack is attached to it. The stack is a detailed report of where the error occurs in your code. It will show the exact file and line it occurred on and the prior functions leading to the error. This is very useful and a best practice for many cases. Let's continue. So now we have set our minimum length and we have checked to see if this is met. We need to think about what to do once it meets the minimum or if it's higher than the minimum. What we want to do is select random characters out of our all chars array so we can use them in the password after fulfilling the minimum of each one individually. So const, let's call this generate random chars. Let's declare our parameters, so chars and count. So what we are making right now is a function. So why didn't we type function instead of const? What we are using now is an arrow function. This is a more modern way of writing functions and we do not use the function keyword beforehand. The rest of the function is the same. Let's declare a result variable and define it as an empty array. We will use a loop to make sure our function runs the same amount of time as our remaining character slots available in our password. A for loop will run until a condition is met. So let's make one. For, and as our variable will change, we use the let keyword and I for integer. I equals 0, I less than count, I plus plus. So while our integer is less than the remaining character slots available, the loop will run and I will plus 1 each time. Plus plus is a shorthand for this. On the flip side, minus minus would minus 1 each time. As we have different arrays inside our all chars variable, we will have two sections here. One to select the array and one to select the character inside. We are doing this at random, so let's go over how to get random numbers. Const random set equals, then char set, math floor, in parentheses, math.random, and then times char set length. So let's unpack what we have done here. Math floor will bring a decimal number down to its closest whole number. The way math random works, it gives us a number between 0 and 1. So 0.3, 0.6 and so on. And as we don't want decimals, math floor takes care of this. It'll bring it down to its closest whole number. 0 and 1 are too small to select the indexes of the arrays, so we use times char set length to get a number between 0 and whatever the char set is at the time. Once this selects an array, we go down to our next piece of code. Const random char equals random set. What we are doing here is the same as above, but now we are accessing the array's length for our random number. So we give every character a chance of being selected. The loop will run the correct amount of times and all the selected characters will go to results. So let's make sure results receives them. Result.push and then random char. Push is a built-in function for adding what you want to the end of an array. So our characters will be displayed in the order our loop selected them. Finally, we will return result. Result was defined inside a function and is not accessible in the global scope. So for our next variable, we can use const result again. We are going to call our get random chars function 4 times inside of results, 1 for each of our sets. And we are going to use the spread operator to spread the results out inside the results array to avoid having multiple arrays inside of results. We will also use our individual min variables for each character set. To add another layer of randomness to our code, we can shuffle our results array. Now we have our min and their characters, we need to figure out how much getRandomChars needs to fill the password amount. So const remaining length equals length. Length will be defined when calling generate password. And then minus result.length. Now we have to add the other characters to results. Let's push and call getRandomChars with all chars and remaining length as our parameters. And using the spread operator to avoid array inside our results. To add another layer of randomness to our code, we can shuffle our results array. We will use sort for this. Sort is a built-in function that will sort our array once we shuffle it. We need to create a function inside sort to do this. We will use arrow function inside and then math random. So what we are doing here is creating a negative, neutral or positive index. This will define where each character will go. Sort will compare two elements, so each time math will run and determine if A is before B or after B. Then at the end, we want to return our password all together as a string rather than individual characters, like it is an actual array. So the join function will do this for us. Right, all that's left to do now is we need somewhere to store our password once we call it. And we need to define how long we want it to be. Let's say 20, a very crazy long password. And then we will log it to the console so we can have a look at it. Let's see this crazy password that we get. So yes, we got 20 characters. We should have a minimum of 3 symbols. 1, 2, 3. So we got 5. 2 uppercase at least. We got 1 here, 1 there, I think. Oh, another one. So we got 3. And then numbers. We got what do we need? 2. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, which is great. And lowercase is all the remaining. So it works, and we've got a very hard to guess password. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.